All right, welcome to episode 210.
Really? 210?
210 of the Radio Impound podcast for May 7th, 2020. Hope everybody's being safe out there. This is like week 6 or 7 of the quarantine in Pennsylvania. Brutal. How's things down there in sunny Florida, Jason?
Beginning of May, they kind of allowing people to kind of, re-enter kind of the workforce, and they didn't extend the stay-at-home stuff. So the restaurants and stores seem to be, they're kind of taking in some rules about distance and how many people can be in either a restaurant or a store. But
so is it like here? It's you only could go to a restaurant and take out. You can't sit down. Before that it was, but but now you can go in a restaurant and sit down.
Yeah. But
did they do any social distancing with the tables and stuff?
Yeah, they've been moving those apart, only limiting to they're only allowed 25% capacity or something like that.
Okay. All right. Now, see, in Pennsylvania, they're going to do it in phases. So we have a yellow phase that's starting tomorrow for certain counties. Okay. So they do a yellow phase, and then the green phase is where everything pretty much eases up. But the county I'm in does not open up tomorrow because we got, we got some cases. Well, we got a lot of cases, and then the county next to us has a shit ton of them, so we can't open up. So we're probably another 2 weeks out until we get into the yellow phase. And in that yellow phase, the restaurants still can't be open. They can be open, but it's only takeout. So that's crazy. But it's all for a good cause. Trying keep the spread down. But yeah, I just read an article about Florida where they said Florida was, they expected Florida to get ravaged with this COVID-19, and they really didn't. That was an interesting article. So they were, and it looked bad there for a while because you had all the people down there at spring break-in and then on the beaches and stuff. And like you said, there was people just roaming around everywhere, but apparently you guys didn't get hit as hard as they thought. So I guess good job to you guys down there in Florida. Maybe all that stuff was overblown. The people out on the beaches and stuff, but
I have no idea. I mean, I haven't been to the beach, so I don't know what it looks like over there, but I didn't go.
He didn't go to spring break. How's RC racing down there still?
We are having a Super Cup this weekend.
Oh, you are? Where's this at?
New Red Hobbies.
Okay.
It's in Ocala. And we're not running the Super Cup this year. We turned it over to Dean Lloyd, who's running the Super Cup, and he talked to the track and they were willing. They wanted to do it. So Super Cup is gonna go down this weekend. So
wait a minute, you're not running the Super Cup?
J Concepts isn't running the Super Cup this year. Yeah.
Oh, but you're the main sponsor.
Right.
And, so you have somebody else doing all the work out there. Okay.
Yeah, they do the entries. They, been keeping track of the points and kind of doing some of the organizing of the events. And we're really just a sponsor this year. So just kind of mixing it up a little bit, giving people a different look at it. And, yeah. Okay. But yeah, the race is going on, and
so do they have to do anything? Certain capacity of amount of people that could be there and stuff, or
I don't know.
Oh, okay, all right. Because I know you wouldn't be able to do that in PA, but so
well, yeah, and that's coming kind of going to come into a, I don't know what the right word is, but into effect here shortly because, the Roar Nationals was scheduled to happen there in Pennsylvania at the end of June.
Actually, we got a question in from, now this guy, radioimpound@gmail.com. Jason, he says with a Y though. Okay.
Okay.
Hi guys, with LCRC canceling the Northeast Showdown, do you feel the 8-scale nationals are definitely in jeopardy now?
That's a good question.
It is. I mean, it all depends.
It all depends on, like you said, it depends on the rules there from Pennsylvania. My recommendation for people that have asked was, I said, if Pennsylvania allows it, I told them to run it. Mm-hmm. I was like, hey, if it was up to me in Pennsylvania, was okay if they open back up or whatever the case may be, I say we run it.
Now, like I said, we're doing them in phases. So we got a yellow phase coming up tomorrow, which doesn't include my county, and it does not include where LCRC's at. LCRC's still in the red.
That's probably the answer right there then, as long as they're in that.
Well, because the next phase for us would be yellow. There's some counties going to yellow tomorrow. The rumor is like somewhere around May 18th for us here in my county. But they're going to look, but with each county, they're going to, before they even go to yellow, they have to check how many cases are, if there's a rise in cases and stuff. And then they decide if they can go in yellow, and then they have to wait a few more weeks to go into green. So it's not like yellow 1 week and green the next, So yeah, it's going to be damn close. When is that race? June?
It's the end of June.
End of June. So that might be, it's going to be close, I think. Because we're expected May 18th. That's another week away. Or that's 2 weeks away. So maybe it's every...
The Nationals is... let me get the date. The actual race is June 24th through the 28th.
Okay. That's going to be close. I mean, if they're in the yellow phase, I'm not sure they could even do it then.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. But, wow. Now, Jason, we had another question in here for you. This is from Chris in New York. Let me see here. Jason, there's discussion on the internet whether 80s and 90s drivers can race today. Let me read this. Let me butcher this up a little bit, buddy. Many think they would not be able to handle today's competition and the size of today's tracks. Yet when I think about this, you, for example, come from that era and seem, for the most part, adjusted pretty damn well. Wouldn't it be the same for these drivers from the 80s and 90s?
I think so. What's funny about this is I've been watching. I kind of have a plan here that I'm kind of working, but I've been spending a lot of time recently watching these old DVDs that I have from Gene Husting and watching the 87 Nationals, the 88, the 89, 90, all the way through the 90s. 80s and 90s I've been watching.
Mm-hmm. I've been doing the same on YouTube.
Yeah, we were talking about that, and I'll send you a picture of Joel, and you'll send me a picture of someone. So yeah, I've been kind of going through that, and I think that there's some drivers that would translate pretty easily to this era, and it wouldn't be a problem, because I think what it comes down to is, I don't think that these guys have better eye-hand coordination or anything like that than anybody would have in those days. There's no exercises, or there's no working out or training you can do for anything like that. So I think you either have it or you don't. And I think that the level of the equipment is what's enabling these guys to push the limits a little bit more with their driving. And I think these better drivers from those days, I think they would translate. I think it would just be like it is now. There would be people there's the guys that can race anything at any time. They're competitive on any track or surface. And then I think there would be the guys that would do well on their style track, their surface, and, then maybe struggle a little bit on others. So I think we would just enter, if you just dumped everybody into the other generation and they had time to, acclimate themselves, I think it wouldn't be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I go back and watch this stuff, like every once in a while, or, kind of every weekend, or for the past few weeks, I've been going live, if I'm at the shop or something like that. And I always kind of like just throw something in the title, like, hey, what's your best 5 drivers of all time? Or, what, I just kind of throw something out there just so there's something to talk about. But, and when I'm watching these videos, and I have a big list of drivers that I have ranked. I got like 40 drivers on my phone that every time I think of a guy or I'm watching these movies, I'm like, God, he needs to be in there too. So I keep adding to this list of people, and I'm trying to figure out, where they rank all time, which is hard. But, when you look at these lists, or this list I have, and I go back and watch these races, of everything that I've watched, the person that's impressing me the most,
Joel Johnson.
No, is Cliff Lett.
Yeah.
And, when I started racing, he was the hero. He was my favorite driver when I started racing, but I didn't really know why back then, because I just kind of heard that he was really good. I went to the Winter Champs. He won truck, and I loved stadium truck. He won that class, and I was just like, oh, this is my favorite driver, right? Mm-hmm. But now when I go back and I'm watching all this stuff, the era that he had, where he was pretty much going all out racing, which is short. It's a short time span compared to the guys that are in it today. And I was really impressed at what the classes he was racing, who he was beating, and his level of competitiveness across the board. And like, if you look at like 87 through like 92, 93, like that window, he raced everything. He raced off-road. Then he went and he raced on-road, road course on-road. He did oval. He did dirt oval.
Jeez. And
he won in everything. He won he even raced 8-scale on-road gas, and he was winning in that. Wow. So I was really impressed with that. I was like, man, I have him, of course, I have him on my list of top drivers, but it's probably one of the guys after watching these things that I was like, I think I might move him up, because I was really impressed with all the classes he was doing and how he was racing you talk about Joel, who was awesome for sure, but I mean, he raced Joel in on-road too. And he could beat Joel occasionally. And, and Joel was the man in the US in the road course side of things. And he was racing with him, beat him on occasion. He was racing oval. He was winning in that. Dirt oval, he won a Roar Nationals in that. And then, of course, off-road, he was really good in there. So I think he would translate, because I think he would figure it out. The one thing that was interesting about him compared to a lot of these guys is he was actually kind of old already. Like, if you actually look at the like how old he was in comparison to the people he was racing. He was older than Jay Halsey. He was older than all these guys. And he was, it's like he'd be on a podium and it would be like, he would be in his 30s and these other guys are like 20, you know, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's a big difference. So he almost like it's almost like when he started racing heavily, he was in his peak and then he just ran through the peak and then that was it. He was done. Like he was just like, I'm not going to race anymore, or he was kind of tapering off. It was like he never like built up and then like made the mains and, went through the whole steps. Like he just like jumped in. He was really good at it. He won. And then it was just like, boom. He was like, okay, I'm pretty much done. So it's kind of interesting, but I think, that's something I've noticed going back. And of course, Joel's one of those guys that his talents kind of went to the different classes also. The thing that I noticed is 87 and under, 1987 and under, the cars were really bad.
Yeah.
And they're not very good. And the motors and batteries weren't very good. And there was a lot of limitations to what the guys could do because the cars just weren't very good. And it was just that's what kind of sticks out to me is they look very toyish, which is funny to say because they're all, technically I guess they're all kind of toys, but you know what I mean? Like, there's the Tyco Turbo Hopper toys.
Yeah.
And then it's
air hogs.
These were like obviously better, but you could tell that starting at about 88, the stuff really started to get a lot better. And then by 89 and 90, the performance looked much better. Mm-hmm. But before that, they're definitely more toyish looking on the track.
And you're watching that 87 Worlds, and they're going around the track, and they're hopping everywhere, and the back end's like going.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it's just like they look really toyish.
Yeah,
and there was breakage real easy then, and battery problems, motor problems would take people out of competition, and it's like you look at in that race where from the 87 Worlds, and you see, I think Joel was Chris Moore was TQ. Chris Moore was TQ with the Kyosho, and somehow Jay Halsey qualified second, and then it was like Joel and they called him Kondo, but Katsasuri Kondo.
That sounds right.
I think his name was, but those were like the top four guys. And like with the one main that I was watching, like Jay Halsey whole shots, he's like in the lead and he still got like the 85, RC10 kind of short front arms. He's still running the small wheels, like almost like very similar in tires to what he won with the first Worlds, but that was no longer good enough. Like they had kind of like, they pretty much got to that race and ran a very similar car that they had used 2 years earlier. And Kyosho came much more prepared and ready to go with the car like Joel won with, which was more like a refined prototype car. It wasn't really the Ultima.
No,
the Ultima that came out with looked like a toy. But the one they raced there was kind of like a hybrid between like, it almost looked like a cross between like an associated car and like what Losi would eventually make.
Yeah.
With like a graphite flat chassis.
Trinity graphite chassis.
Trinity graphite chassis.
That's what Joel said.
Okay.
He said the thing was completely stock for the most part, except the Trinity graphite chassis.
Okay.
If you want to believe that.
I mean, maybe it is. I don't think the shocks were.
No, I don't think anything was stock on that, to be honest with you. We'll have to check with Joel on that one.
Maybe the front and rear arms and the transmission. I don't know. But that Ultima kit, when it came out, it has like these tiny red shocks on it.
Yeah.
And, the car he ran had Kyosho Golds on it.
Right. I remember those red shocks that you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
they were horrible. I'll say it.
And you know what? And the car they ran, they look a little bigger in this photo here. I mean, it's actually kind of a neat looking car, but it's very toyish. Like, I mean, the number one thing is the way they sold this Ultima was it had the battery was transverse in, it went like through the chassis, because the chassis was like it almost looked like a U. But the car Joel ran, like, it was totally like the battery was in line, and quite a bit different of a car. Yeah, and the Kyosho Gold shocks were the ones that were really, people would buy those as aftermarket.
Yeah.
I think I tried to buy some for something. It's kind of a neat car. Yeah, but Joel's like the whole body, the whole wing, everything's different. I mean, anyway, they came prepared. They had different tires than everybody else, which was kind of cool, because that almost, to me as a tire person, was kind of neat. So kind of cool to look at.
I Googled this, and somebody.
Yeah, there's a cool rebuild of Joel's car.
Yeah, rcgroups.com. Somebody did a rebuild. Mm-hmm. There's some cool photos up there. I
mean, you could.
What's this? Oh, okay.
I guess you could say, like, it definitely has the other chassis, but the battery's in line. The rear shock, it does have Kyosho Gold shocks. It's got, what's funny is they held the battery in with zip ties.
Yeah.
And it's like through the bottom of the chassis.
Is this the actual car that I'm looking at?
There's two. There is the actual car.
Okay.
In here, and the one that they remade. I like the picture of Joel, like in 87 and 2015, holding the car. Kind of cool.
I don't see that. Well, I must be on something different. Oh, yeah, here it is. Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, cool to go back and watch that stuff. But yeah, that's ones that stuck out to me so far. And I think these guys would definitely translate.
All right. Well, the answer is that.
Yeah, it only took 30 minutes, but what it kind of looks like is Joel has the car still, and then somebody built another version of it.
Yeah, I tried to get that car off of him when we were working at Trinity. I was like, I was up to like, I said, look, I'll give you like $500 for it.
He's like, oh, so my first world championship car.
That's what he was like.
I'll go ahead and sell it to you at undervalued. Besides,
I could have swore he told me it was in pieces somewhere in box somewhere. But
that's kind of what this picture looks like.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I was like, I'll still buy it off you. He's like, nah, that's all right. Get to work, Gotti.
He's like, I know what you can do. Go back to work.
Yeah. But I tried. I thought it'd be really cool. Really cool to have.
We had some cool, they ran some pretty cool looking rear tires, and the front tires are ribbed front tires, but the rears are pretty cool. They ran like this. They're like a square pin, and which, according to the video that I have, they said they had like 5 different compounds there. That Kyosho brought all that stuff with them.
Kyosho like was really going all in here.
Yeah, they went all in. Well, and then, like I was talking to my buddy Brad about it, and he's like, well, he goes, it makes sense then, because when you think about it, because the next 2 Worlds Associated built a special car for both races. So he's like, the fact that, they saw Kyosho at this 87 race kind of went all in. And then he was like, okay, well, our Associated was like, all right, well, I guess we got to go all in like that.
Yeah.
And they've won. Have they won every one except for one since? All of them except for 2.
Wait, who? What are you talking about?
Since this 87 Worlds,
yeah.
How many other cars have won the 2-wheel drive Worlds? And, so Joel won it with the Kyosho in 87 here, but then Associated won in, let me see.
89.
89, 91, 93, 95. Kinwald won in 97. 99 Associated won. 2001 Losi won. It was really 2002. Then 2003 Associated. 2005 Associated. 2007 was South Africa. Nobody went. 2011 Associated. 2013 was Kyosho. That's when Tebow won. 15 was Spencer. And then
wait, so they
Mayfield,
won. They won in
Mayfield won with the Yokomo in 17, and then Spencer won again in 19. So all of all the worlds in 2-wheel drive, there's only been Associated has been defeated 4 times. Two Kyosho, 1 Yokomo, and Kinwald. So only 4 times Associated has been defeated in that class. And Kyosho's got the other 2. Oh, I'm sorry. The Matt Francis had that other one in 2002. So that's 2 Kyosho, Kinwald, Matt Francis, and Mayfield. So 5 times. So Losi has 2, Kyosho has 2, and Mayfield's got 1 with the Yokomo. So there's been 18 world championships, I think. If I'm counting right. If there's been 18 in the 2-wheel drive class, you got Associated's won 13 of them. Pretty impressive.
So Kyosho 87 and then 2013.
Right.
Joel and Tebow.
Yeah, pretty good company to be in. What's funny is when you look at this car, they had yellow wheels back then. That was the other thing I noticed watching this thing.
Yellow was in?
Well, I was watching it and I was like, it's like these cars have yellow wheels. And, because you kind of thought like there was a time when maybe...
Oh, wait a minute now. Joel's 87 picture, he don't have yellow wheels on that.
On his 4-wheel, he did. Oh, no, he has them on his 2-wheel, too.
He does? Oh,
well,
wait a minute now.
In the remake car, they put yellow wheels on. But in the real picture, he had white wheels. His 4-wheel drive, he ran with yellow. Kind of a cool looking car. Didn't you have this, the Optima Mid?
I had the Optima Mid SE.
Okay, so is that what this is? It's an Optima Mid.
Yeah, I don't know what the differences were between the two, the Optima Mid and the Mid SE.
Yeah, me either. A little bit ahead of my time.
Masami won that four-wheel drive class in '87 with the Schumacher Cat XL.
Yeah. You know what's funny is when I was watching the video, and there's only one of the mains, but in that one main, it actually looks like Joel had the better four-wheel drive car too.
He probably did.
And he didn't end up winning that one, and he won the two-wheel. But in the two-wheel class, there was some people that looked like even Chris Moore and the Kondo. They actually looked just as fast, if not faster, than Joel in two-wheel drive. But in four-wheel drive, it looked like Joel could have actually did even better than he did.
Damn. Can you imagine if Joel would have got two-wheel and four?
Yeah, if he would have got both there, that would have been huge.
Damn.
I'd have had to revise my list. But
and then that one in '93, I think it was, where Joel could have got Losi's first world title. So close.
I watched that one the other day too, and there's some things that I think
it's a heartbreaker. Car Action did a post Worlds. I remember. I wish I had the magazine because it was cool because it had an insert with it was just all about the Worlds, and I had a cool interview in there with Joel Johnson after the Worlds, and he was so close to winning that. I remember I just remember reading that, and I was so because that was back in the day where you had to wait for Car Action to come out to see who won the Worlds. And I remember getting the magazine. I'm like, all right, let's find out who won. Please let Joel win. I open it up, and I'm like, no, what happened? And he was so close, so close.
He was. The guys that you talked to that were there,
I'm still hurt over it.
They really think that he should have won, but when I look at it and watch the video today, I'm actually impressed with Kinwald more. In the main that I was watching the other day, I was like, man, it just Kinwald. These other guys found a lot of speed, and then just being on the same track at the same time, and then TQing a race. I'm sure there's a little bit of nervousness when you have to take off for that one, but these guys were not cutting him any slack in that race. They're all over him. And this one main that's on there, and you can see that Kinwald was not giving anything up at that point. The main that's that I was watching, Kinwald ran well, and he started 8th.
He started 8th in that, Kinwald?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So what I was saying is they found speed because one of the things they did is Kinwald put a hydro drive on for the last round of qualifying.
Okay.
And then that's when he had a good run, made the main. And then the rest of the associated guys put a hydro drive on too.
Isn't that something? They put a Losi hydro drive on. That's crazy, isn't it?
And well, it is, but they actually made one for the car. Losi made a conversion. You could buy the hydro drive in a package, and it came with the parts, the dust cover, the top shaft to bolt it right into an RC10.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to do anything special. You could just bolt it right in.
Right.
And that's what Kinwald did. He bolted it right in. He qualified well.
So Losi helped them win in a way.
Yeah, they did.
Wow. You think about that, it's crazy.
Not long after that race, we had a truck nationals in Michigan. And it was the same thing there where the track was kind of bumpy and loamy. And I remember everyone was like, oh, you got to have a hydro drive. So I got a hydro drive and I put it on my truck there. And I was like, I don't really think it helped. I mean, I remember I thought it was going to be like the game changer. I got it. I put it on because the fast guys were using it, and I put it on there and had because it was a little different to adjust because you had the friction slipper and then the Hydra work together, and I just remember running it, and I was like, I didn't get any faster or easier to drive or anything. So I don't know. I'm a little. I was never very head over heels for the Hydra drive personally.
Okay.
I always felt by the time you got the friction slipper tight enough to actually drive the car the way you normally would drive it, then the Hydra drive didn't work right anymore. Like it was supposed to like take up shock and bumps and this and that, which was I think it has some great promise, but I don't know. In my experience, definitely wasn't game changing. I'll tell you that.
So I had Chili send me the Joel Johnson interview from '93. That was in that insert.
Okay.
And Joel arrived at the track. This was 93 Worlds in how do you pronounce this? Basildon, England? Basildon?
Yeah, I've always called it Basildon.
Basildon, England, whatever. He arrived at the track. Joel gets there, and his quote here is he looked at the track and what the hell's going on over there?
Sorry, that was my straw.
At first glance at the track, it looked great. Another world's track that as hard as a rock and only has 2 jumps.
Yep.
When I looked at the track again, I felt that I might have a chance after all. It looked a little like the '87 World's track.
Which it did. It was big, though. It was a lot bigger than that '87 track.
Pretty much the same surface. Condition. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing was there is, this was a day when the Losi guys ran the Losi tires, the Associated guys were running Proline tires, and it was like you couldn't get the other guys' tires. So, and Proline had they were stubbies was the name of the rear tire, and then the wide 5s were the name of the front tire that they ran. And then the Losi guys had gold compound, IFMAR studs in the back. And then they just ran regular Losi rib front tires. And so you never really know the performance difference of the tires either. Like you don't really, it's really kind of hard to say if anybody had a tire advantage because it was really like nobody ran each other tires, right? Today we'd come back from a race like that and people would just say, oh, one tire was better than the other. That was the whole, that was the reasoning for everything, or it is the reasoning for everything these days. But I've ran these tires, afterwards and later, and those Losi tires were really good. Those IFMAR stud rears, that was a really good tire, and even the track. Let's see the track conditions. Hold on, I'm kind of looking. It rained before one of the mains there.
93 here.
Yeah. Yep. And Kinwald he put back on his Losi front tires when it rained. And even though they said, he ran a certain tire the whole time, but that's not really actually the case. When it was rained, he put on Losi front tires, and So it went pretty good.
Joel says, as the buzzer sounded for the start of the first final, I got a good jump on the field and led for the first few laps. While I was driving, I noticed that the track had deteriorated badly and that driving fast without a mistake was difficult. Around 2 minutes down, I made an error, and this allowed Brian Kinwald to take the lead. 2 laps from the end, at the top of the hill, I made a pass that put me back in the lead, and I went on to win the first main. So Joel takes the first. Yeah. Second main, I started in the same way as the first, except that because of the rain, the track was wet. Again, I made a mistake. Kinwald got by. We finished just seconds apart. We were tied, and it would all come down to the last main. I like reading this. I was back in '93. I was reading this, like hoping I went right to
and
at the beginning of the last main, and this I was reading in '93. I'm like, at the beginning of the last main, I got a fairly good jump on the field. Yeah.
And
this time I was determined to run a perfect race, but sure enough, and I was like, oh. In the middle section of the track, a pothole grabbed one of my front tires and rolled my car. And Brian was there to capitalize. The rest is history. Looking back at this race, it was tough for me because I'm not used to giving up the lead once I've gained it. It seems as though it just wasn't my turn this year. It was great being TQ, but I sure would have liked to brought home another world championship for the USA, Trinity and me, and especially wanted to give Losi their first world championship.
Yeah.
Heartbreaker.
I think the one that I was watching is the second main. That's on that's on the DVD I have. I think the second main's the one that I was watching. And when you actually read you read what Joel's saying there, I'm not going to say that. I mean, okay. It sounds a lot like what I was saying, which is Brian gained a lot of speed by the time the mains came around, and things got much closer, because you can see that, obviously Joel was leading all 3 mains and gave it up at one time or another. And Kinwald was the guy that was racing the entire time, all 3 mains. So it's like Kinwald came from 8th and was racing with him in all 3 mains. So it's pretty impressive for both guys, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, Joel went on to say, congratulations to Brian on a job well done. Let's try it on pavement sometime. Ooh.
He's probably right.
Well, there was our breakdown of the 93 world. 87, 93.
Yeah, we were all in there.
All in there. I love watching that stuff, though.
It is. It's very cool to watch.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn by watching that stuff. That's kind of why I'm watching it, because I got another plan I'm working here. I was going to do a kind of a video about my first Worlds experience. And so I'm kind of going back and watching a lot of these things that led up to that event, my first Worlds. And so kind of watching a lot of the different things. Making sure I got some things together, got my story.
Yeah.
My story straight.
Brian Kinwald, 93 Worlds. They asked him how he liked the track. I saw the track at the warm-up race and didn't like it much. The straightaway was super long and it was a horsepower track. When I showed up for the Worlds, they changed the track. There was a jump in the straight and it was shorter, more of a driver's track. I liked the hard pack surface because it had a lot of bite, but it was really rough, and I don't do well on rough outdoor tracks.
Except when you win this one.
Who was your toughest competitors? Kinwald says, before the race, I thought that Masami would win two-wheel drive. At dinner before the race, Greg Hodap told me that I would win. After qualifying, everybody in the main was a threat, but Joel and Scott Brown were probably the toughest.
Yeah. I tried to get into that race. I resumed in and didn't make it.
Oh, damn. Well, things could have been a lot different. All right.
Yeah, I don't think the final results. I would have loved to have been at this race, man. I really wanted to go. I resumed in, but I didn't get accepted through Roar. And but I felt like I still should have been there. Like, I felt like I was fast enough to be in the Worlds at that point, and I was really, because when they came back, I was racing with all these same guys that were in the.
What'd you have to do back then to create the resume? What'd you have to put down and stuff?
Your results, your best results, how you kind of desire to race for Team USA or Roar in the Worlds, and that what your results were up to that point, and what kind of gave you the right to make it.
Okay. So did you make it up all nice and neat and stuff? Typed it out?
Well, I honestly think that my mom typed it for me.
Oh.
But yeah.
That's what I mean, though. You made a real nice packet up and then send it in, right? Is that what you do?
Yep. Yeah, that's right. And then you're kind of waiting for a letter, to somebody to, there's no emails. So
now they don't do that anymore, do they?
Yeah, you have to resume in.
Oh, okay.
But there's a lot of spots. What ends up happening, and I don't know what the case was in this day, but what happens in today is there's really 40 spots that get into the main at the Worlds. So for Roar, the nationals that's held the year before the Worlds actually happens is the qualifying year. And usually the top 30 to 40 drivers at the Roar Nationals qualify for the Worlds. But not everybody goes. Not all 40 of those guys, can all make it to the Worlds. So then there's some spots that become available. And of those spots, you can resume in to take over those spots.
Okay. I didn't know that.
And that's what I was trying to do. Like, there was a good group of guys qualified from the USA. But, not everybody went.
Not a reason why. I thought they did, like, I thought I saw where they were just accepting entry fee money to go to some of these Worlds. So that's why.
No, you still have to go through
the whole process.
Usually that resume process, and
okay,
it is easier to go now than it was back then because there are more spots available. But yeah, that's how I tried to get into this race. I kind of felt like I had only been racing for a little over 2 years at that point. But I was still like, I think I should be in this race. And I was trying to do it because I knew I had watched a bunch of Worlds on videos, the same videos from Gene Husting, but they were VHS then. I was watching those and I was like, I got to get to one of these things. This would be great.
How long did it take back till you heard back from them?
I don't even know. I think, they had to send you a letter.
So you were sitting on pins and needles the whole time waiting for that letter to come through, and you opened it up and denied. Yeah.
Yeah. Just got denied. And it was kind of disappointing.
Did it motivate you at all?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was like, I'm like, man, I'm going to have to take it up a notch here and make sure the next time this comes around that it's not even a question.
And you got to one in when?
95. So the next one.
So the next one.
Oh, wow. That was the last lap.
Wait, what are you watching?
Well, I found all three mains from this
93.
from this Worlds. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to go and watch that again. It's a heartbreaker, but I'm always like, wait, maybe something will happen different here.
Maybe it's different.
Maybe Joel wins this one.
Yeah, so for the first main.
Yeah.
The first 8 main was Joel Johnson, Brian Kinwald, Scott Brown, Masami. What I saw in that first main is basically what I'm saying is Joel was in the lead, but Kinwald was in second, and he didn't really. He ran well. He ran very well, and Joel did make the mistake, just like he said in the article. Kinwald took the lead. He kind of forced a pass back for Brian. You know, he didn't really. It's not like it wasn't like perfectly clean. You know, they rubbed, but it wasn't like a takeout. And he got back in the lead, and then it was like Kinwald made a run at him at the end of the race, the first main, and tried to jump past him on that center jump, but the car just completely jumped like crap and crashed. But that was the last lap, so kind of a good run. Not kind of a good run, very good run. But you could see that the track was bumpier, it was tougher, just as Joel described in that letter. But now they weren't giving up much anymore. You know, Kinwald had kind of he basically the pace. You know, Mayfield likes to say, "Hey, the pace was set." You know, he's like, you know, when you're in these mains, he's like, once the pace is set, you don't have any choice but to either match it or you just drop back.
Yeah.
So he's like, so you got to either, you know, get up to that pace or you're nothing. You're not going to be competitive. Like this video has like a lot of the different mains in here, like the J main, the K main, and all this stuff. And I mean, when I watch this, I'm like, it's like pisses me off because I'm like, I would have beat all these guys.
Yeah, I understand why they showed those mains. I was like, why are they showing these mains?
No, it's like a nice complete video. If you were here, it'd be great. Like now, if I could have watched this and I was at this race, I'd be like, cool, I can see my main.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I mean,
I'd be down in the Z main.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm at the Worlds. Who cares?
Yeah, that's where I would have been at. Is I'd have been like, hey, I'm here. I'm sure I wouldn't have been that laid back. That's for sure.
I'd have been like, Joel, you remember the 87 Worlds?
That was awesome.
There you have it. Our breakdown of the 87, 93 Worlds. And you know what? I'm contacting Joel. We're getting him on here and talk about those 2 Worlds. We're getting him on. That's it. It's been a long time since he's been on the show. So we'll get him on and break down these Worlds for us.
Well, what I was going to say, let's call Jamie. I'm going to get on another tangent.
All right. You want to finish? You can save that for the end if you want.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
So who do we have on the show, Jason?
Jamie Tennies from Trackside Hobbies and Raceway in Brookfield, Wisconsin.
And this is one of your favorite tracks?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people's favorite track.
And we're supposed to say hello from Kirby Han. I guess those 2 were competitors back in the day.
Yeah, Jamie was whooping up on him too.
Oh.
Just kidding. We know Kirby's the man in Oval.
Incoming text message in 3, 2, 1.
It just says BS.
All right. Let's dial him up here.
Hello?
Jamie.
Yeah.
Gotti Jr. here with Jason Ruona. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah. We're supposed to say hello from Kirby Hand.
Is Kirby with you guys or not?
No, of course not. He couldn't be here tonight, but he said definitely make sure you tell Jamie I said hi.
Yeah, I haven't seen Kirby for a few years. I seen him at the open wheel probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, down in
last time I seen him.
Oh, okay. All right.
At PA. Yep. Bumps and jumps.
Yeah. All right.
For sure.
Now Jason, you could jump in there and say hi too.
Oh, hi, Jamie.
Hi, Jason. How are you?
Good. Yeah, we're like, we had to get the part in there from Kirby. You know, he wanted to make sure that he stood out.
Now, how often did you whoop up on Kirby Hand there?
I didn't get to race against Kirby. He ran up here at the Triclone in 2004 for the paved oval mats.
Oh, okay.
And his brother and his dad were up there, and that's where we began, a little relationship at that point.
I thought you guys raced against each other and stuff, so.
No,
Good
not
deal.
too often, for sure.
So how are things going right now, Jamie? I know we're in a little bit of a holding pattern with racing, and what's going on at the track there at Trackside?
Well, we're definitely in the holding pattern for sure right now. We got completely shut down it's got to be almost a month ago now. We started out where we could have the 10 people, and we were booking practice sessions with, groups of guys, and everybody was doing that. But when they totally shut us down, that was it. So, we've been doing some curbside stuff. We definitely cut our hours. We're only there a couple days a week, but we're still doing stuff though, for sure. I mean, Gregory's there right now. We're putting a new track layout in the indoor, and then our A-scale track too is ready for a new outdoor layout. So we got that all piled up and ready to go.
Are you guys expected to reopen soon? The state?
Not till the end of the month.
End of the month. Okay. All right.
Yep. So
yeah.
So you're pretty much going to have all new tracks and everything's going to be ready to go with the anticipation of opening back up, huh?
Yeah, and I think, our state's going to do a soft opening from what you read. And, that's the only problem with this stuff. It's so vague right now. You don't know, honestly, what's going on.
Yeah.
So the indoor track, I'm expecting they're going to open up and they're going to let us have like 10 people inside. Our governor has like a 3-step process they want to try to do. So we'll do soft opening on the indoor. I think, we're going to start to focus on the outdoor stuff a little bit because I think it's going to be a little bit more flexible for us. We might be able to have more people out there.
Well, that's good. Good to know.
That's where we're at.
So we wanted to kind of touch base on that, but we'll get back there. But to kind of completely rewind back, and we got a bunch of questions too. So the questions seem to be really popular, huh, Gotti?
Yeah. Big time.
Got a lot of action there.
I can't wait.
Yeah. You got a bunch of buddies, I guess we'll say, right?
For sure. Yeah.
So starting from the beginning of RC, where'd you get going in RC, and which classes did you start in?
I mean, the beginning for me was pretty much like every young kid probably. You see a neighbor boy with a car running around in the street, and you go from there. We basically I started in probably 85.
Okay. Yeah.
Me and a bunch of buddies got cars, and we raced down the road at a neighbor's driveway. That was an oval driveway.
Okay. So was it a big driveway, or you think it was like you just made the most of it, or what was the?
It was a pretty good size. Everything's bigger when you're 12 and 13 years old.
Of course, yeah.
So it was fun. We all had cars. I had a Hornet. That was the first car I had.
Yeah.
My other buddy Chris had a Grasshopper, and then Brian was he was a little better off than most of us, and he got the first Gold Tub when they came out.
Oh, nice.
So at that point, everybody was jealous.
Yeah. I bet.
So what kind of, to kind of stick with it, what allowed you to kind of stay with it for so long? And, did you move along through the different classes through the years, or you've been mostly off-road and oval, or what classes have you been, did you run with?
It's kind of progressed from there. in Wisconsin, obviously, it's only summer 3 months of the year, 4 months of the year. And then we found the track and started racing oval there. The 80s, 90s, everything in the Midwest was oval racing.
Okay.
So in 80, oh boy, I want to say 86 or 87, started racing at Trackside.
So is that when it opened then?
Trackside started in 1984 behind a bike shop. The owner's name was Joel Gish.
Okay.
He brought some cars back from California. I think they were Cox Scorpions probably.
Mm.
Had a little track behind a BMX shop, and eventually they moved to, in 85, they moved to a strip mall and had a carpet oval. And that's pretty much where we started racing. At that time it was, I think I had a Kyosho Ultima, and you bolted some foam tires on it, and you raced on the oval.
Yeah, I don't know if I really realized that the name Trackside had been around that long.
Yeah, this is our 35th year.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Scotty took it over. I mean, it moved from the location that it was at in 88. And then had a carpet oval, and then it had a dirt oval. And eventually I worked there when, before Scotty even owned it. I was a kid. My grandma used to drive me there, and eventually we tore the carpet oval and just made a big dirt oval.
Okay.
So it was probably 88, 89.
So was your experience then at that point, was it more an oval, or were you getting some off-road in too?
I'll be honest, I probably didn't even watch an off-road car go around until 2001.
So you were just like, I'm just oval and that's it, huh?
Yeah, I raced a lot of dirt oval, and then, in the 2000s, a lot of pan car. We had a huge track out here in Wisconsin. It was called the Midwest Triclone, big asphalt bank track. Went to Florida a couple times, did Whipple Whirl.
Mm-hmm.
Did a lot of, pan car racing in the, the Trinity pan car days. Gotti, where are you from?
Pennsylvania.
You're in Pennsylvania?
Yep.
Went to New Jersey, mega track in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's, last time I checked, it was like track 70 or something like that. I don't know if it's still there though.
Yeah, I don't know what they're calling it now, but yeah, I've been to mega track back in the day. My first race there was the Trinity Speedworks race.
Wasn't it called the Sportsman's Cup?
Speedworks Sportsman Cup, right?
Yep, I was there.
Yeah, 1990, I think. Something like that.
That sounds about right. That's when like TRC had their big trailer there and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
He was there, and
Joel Johnson.
Yep, for sure. I think Andy Dobson even still raced then.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember Andy Dobson.
So
that's a good little lineup there that you guys have that kind of in common. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of doing a little creeping on Gotti, see if we crossed paths anywhere at one time.
Oh God, no.
And I mean, now we did a little bit. That's about it, though.
There you go. Is that when you won the P main guy?
I was just gonna say that I was in the P main and I won the thing after Joel Johnson rebuilt my Lynx 2. He rebuilt the back end for me and got the diff worked out and went out there and it was awesome.
We talk about this occasionally, but Jamie, the Whippoorwill, it just seemed like that guy was really ahead of his time.
Bob Hosh, his name was.
Yeah.
Yep.
The way he would do those races, and I know Paul Wynn talks about it all the time because he raced at Whippoorwill a bunch, and he's like got the guy that parachuted in. He had like Coca-Cola as a sponsor. I mean, he had like a lot of things that people were after today. He had that in the 80s. And
yeah, for sure.
And Paul's always talking about how like just ahead of the time. Said the guy was a little weird and he had his rules, but he really was ahead of his time in a lot of different respects, and the way he approached it. I know there's the video we were watching one day where he's talking to Ernie Perbetti and would not call it a motor; it was an engine. And in the battery, it was not a battery; it was a fuel cell. So it's like he's talking to Ernie about a new motor, and he's like, "So talk to us about this new engine." It's like, he was into it, and he was going to make that connection with the real racing.
Yeah, and he did. I mean, he had the shirts, he had the banners, the flags, and the parade of cars, and it was definitely cool to go to, for sure, especially when you're younger.
Yeah, and I mean, when you see it, you're just like, man, this has really been it really is amazing what he was able to do, and I went and watched one of the whippoorwill races. I'd say it was probably around 91 or 92. When I was getting into it and heard the guys were going to be out there, I was like, yeah, let's go check out the US Oval Masters, I think it was called.
Yep, correct.
But yeah, cool stuff. Really, really cool to see. Fun race. But so getting back into your racing a little bit. So you get through the 90s. Did you ever do any touring car or on road, or just mostly oval?
I dabbled a little bit in the touring car, especially in 2001. Between I want to say 90 to 95 to 2000 era is pretty much when I had the kids, and you go through that stage of life where you just don't have the money and the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
When Scotty bought the original Trackside in, I want to say 93.
Okay.
He kind of, he was at the facility for a little bit, then he moved and opened a new facility and did this. That's when touring cars started to take off. And at that time, I was kind of absent from the whole, trackside thing. I still did a little bit of racing in the local oval track, but I just had other things in life going on. And then in 2001, Trackside had to move again, and it's the current location that we're at now. I know a bunch of the guys that were still racing, they called me and said, Scotty needs help, he's building this track and we need some construction done. And after 2001, I never left again. So
you were just there helping all the time, right?
I helped, and we did the on-road layouts and did that stuff, and helped with the off-road a little bit, not as much. Off-road side was usually like Chad Dew had a big part doing in that all the time in the back room, and then Josh Hohenstein, a couple other guys. I still did a little oval racing, in the 2000s, and but that helped me focus a little bit on helping that track too.
So when there was Scotty had a lot of large races there throughout the years, like he had a lot of touring car stuff. I think you guys had like a Novak event or something.
Yep, Novak race was always very large.
And talk a little bit about some of those races that you might remember, what he had back in the kind of on-road days, and maybe you guys had some oval stuff, or kind of before where we're at today with the Associated race.
Oh boy. I have to think about this a little bit. Scotty would remember more than I would, honestly. It was, touring car was big, weekly racing on a Sunday at Trackside with touring car was 100 cars, and then, the Novak race, everybody came to the Novak race, when Barry Baker, obviously Paul Lemieux, Chris Tossolini was a big on-road racer back then.
Yep.
Trying to think who else, Dumas, Todd Hodge, Ryan Kinwald, all those guys came for the Novak race.
And so the way that it was set up then is where the off-road track is now.
That was the carpet track.
That was the carpet track. And then
Correct.
Was the track in the back, that's where the dirt was?
That was the off-road track.
Yep. Okay. So at what point did the things kind of flip-flop there and kind of change it around?
I think, touring car got I don't know if I want to say it burnt out. It maybe got a little bit more expensive, and it just started to fizzle a little bit. I think it started to develop so fast in the touring car stuff that people were done buying a new car every year, or the new tire of the week. And it just started, the weekly stuff started to die when we had, you have 25 guys on the biggest part of the facility, in the back track where it's small back there where the oval is now. You had 85 or 90 guys running off-road. So, at that point, we didn't have to make a decision. We had to talk Gotti into it to say, I think we got to move the dirt.
Right.
Gotti was such a passionate on-road racer. Scotty's passionate about racing, period. But it was just a big deal to make that jump and tell the on-road guys that we're not doing on-road anymore. So, and that's, the time when the dirt got moved over. And I think that was, I'm going to be guessing, is probably 10 to 11 years ago now.
Okay.
I mean, the last short course showdown we had on the back track, we actually had so many people there, we had to pit on the carpet track.
So the first short course showdown was on the back track then?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't go to that one. I think Paul Wynn went, but I didn't realize that. Then they made the change and moved the tracks around.
Yep, correct. Yeah, I mean, the short course showdown was so big at that time. I mean, we had to pit on the carpet track, and it was actually kind of cool. I mean, Traxxas was really involved in it at the beginning, and we had the easy ups up inside the building and stuff. And but I think that was, that's what set the motion to move to off-road on the big side of the track.
So then off-road was kind of building again, right? It was kind of in a peak, or not a peak, but it was kind of building back up, and the off-road kind of again became you guys on the bigger track and became more popular.
Yeah, for us it did. I mean, like I said, at the end of the on-road stuff, the backtrack was starting to be more popular, and we had a lot more people back there, 80, 90 guys. So the biggest part was, 25 guys, and it started to fade, and you could see it. But the off-road was definitely gaining momentum at that time. And before we moved to that facility, we didn't really have an off-road track. He had an outdoor one that they kind of played around on and stuff, in the back behind the location at Trackside. But moving into the location we're at now, they had the opportunity to do a nice off-road track, and it went from there.
So when did, if you remember, when the start of the Spectrum event, when did that start?
Oh boy. I honestly don't know, Jason.
Must have been,
look it up.
Yeah, it must have been what, well, I remember when Dustin Evans debuted the 22 at one of them, right? That must have been around 2011-ish. So
I would say, if not a little bit earlier than that, maybe 2010.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Because Dustin Evans and Ryan and all them guys did run on the back track.
Okay.
Photo. At that time, I believe it was a Spectrum race too. So,
okay,
11 years ago. If Scotty was on, he would correct me, but he's not.
Yeah. And it's getting into the Spectrum race now. That became definitely one of the largest races in the whole, U.S. I mean, you guys were really, that was a big deal. You're getting a good team support coming in for that. Kind of the short course showdown kind of blended in there a little bit for a few years. But what'd you think of the as that Spectrum race was kind of progressing? Did you participate in a few of the early ones, or did you get in there later, or what was your time?
Me personally, I didn't race a lot of them, the Spectrum races. I more did the tech and helped and prepared and stuff like that. I did a lot of tech for all the the Novak races for the on-road stuff. I pretty much just helped out a lot more than I got to race.
Okay.
So, as the race progressed and stuff, and, eventually started getting bigger and bigger, and, more people were attending. And then in the later years now, it's switched over, Associated, taken over the race. It's definitely growing in popularity for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it even made you come.
That's right. Yeah, we had a great race there a couple of years ago, and it seems like it's one of those events. It's got a little bit of the Reedy race ish feel in terms of people don't want to miss it. They always say, "Hey, this is one of the races they put on their radar," and they always try to make it if they can. I mean, do you get that feeling when you're doing it?
Yeah, I mean, it fills up fast. People want to come, and people that usually come, they come back. They enjoy it. We're fortunate. Everybody has a good time there. Everybody wants to come back.
Yeah.
So it's gotten to the point now where in the last couple of years, it fills up fast. So, it's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing though too. Some people don't get in. Some people don't live by their computer and get to watch when the registration opens up.
Yeah.
So it usually always works out in the end because there's always people that can't make it or something comes up, and then we can fill those spots.
What's you guys always have a really nice looking track, especially for that race. What's the preparation like? Do you guys do for something like that? How long does it take you, and what kind of effort is it like to kind of to make it look the way it does when you guys start that race?
I mean, it takes a little bit more effort for us. I mean, typically on a normal rebuild at Trackside for just like you're going to change it in the middle of October, we'll say. We race on Friday night, and after Friday night racing, pretty much everybody comes out of the pits, pulls the pipes. We rototill it up on Friday night. Come in on Saturday, move the dirt around, build the jumps. Sunday we pack. Monday we're laying pipe down.
Mm-hmm.
For the associated race, we take a little bit more time. We take that I'm trying to think. Like when you come in, usually all the people come in, everything is painted up and everything like that. That doesn't happen until the beginning of the week before the associated race. We always put the layout in a week before, and people do get to run on it. For our track, that's the best thing. The track needs to be run on, because the track, if you put a fresh layout in and no one runs on it, cars are going to be flipping off the track. It's not good. So it needs to be run on. So we run the Saturday before the associated race. We always do.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does, it gives us an opportunity too to modify the jumps if need be. You do your layout. If you don't get to run on it, the triple doesn't work like you want it to, or the stock buggy can't make this section. So that gives us a little bit of an opportunity to modify the track too and see where we need to fix things. And the end result, it makes it better for the associated race because the landers are good and everything works out good.
So kind of moving in, recently you've been doing, it seems like you've been getting around doing a couple other events. I've seen you around quite a bit last couple of years. You've been doing the Chili Bowl. We see each other over there, and you usually bring some locals with you too. And what's it like kind of hitting some of these events where maybe you don't have to worry about it being your event and just kind of being involved on a different level?
Chili Bowl I go to every year. I mean, since it started, I think I missed 1 year in there. Just the first year I bought Trackside, I couldn't go because I had no one to run Trackside. So I enjoy it. I mean, it's a week away and I get to race. When you own a track or a business, like you probably know, Jason, you don't get to race as much as you used to.
Yeah.
You work at the track all day long. The last thing you want to do is come home and work on your car.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I enjoy going to the Chili Bowl. I mean, you get the time to spend and race and just relax a little bit and, talk to people. So.
Yeah, what I noticed too there is it's like you're always helping out, several racers, and you're kind of like not only are you got your racing going, but then it seems like you also have a really good sort of like you're really helping in the pits a lot. You're like a really good pit guy there too.
Yeah, we try to, and I think that just comes natural from, being at the hobby store and stuff. You're always trying to help people out. You want to make everybody else have fun and be successful too.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the deal. If they're not having fun, then they're not coming back to the track.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that is kind of fun about watching at the Chili Bowl, I've been a couple years now, and just the difference in how the dirt oval racing qualifying works, and even the mains, the races are shorter in dirt oval there. They got the little pit lane, which I think is really cool. The races and the qualifiers just have a really fun factor to them with, you get a couple warm-up laps. You can come in and do your little pit if you want to make a change to the car, and then you roll them out, and then you're racing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's part of the fun. I think, one of my favorite parts about the Chili Bowl, and some people may disagree about it, is, I like the spec tire.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I'm leaving here from Wisconsin and I'm going to the Chili Bowl, that these are the tires I'm running, and everybody else is running them.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a big relief, especially when you're traveling or taking a week off. You go to a big race, you don't want to be chasing 14 different sets of tires, especially, on a little bit looser surface.
Right. Yeah, some of the worry.
Everybody runs the same tire, so that's a big thing for me. I really enjoy that. There was a race in California I wanted to go to, and for a sprint car, and I'm like, well, what's the tire? And they're like, it's open. I'm like, okay, I'm out.
You're like, well, I'm out.
Well, I'm not going to somebody's home track that they know you run this tire when the sun's up, this tire when the sun's down, and it's just, I'm not a big fan of it. That's all.
Yeah. So talking about the hobby shop and Trackside, you mentioned right now you got some, you guys are doing some curbside pickup. You're doing some, call ahead orders, basically anything to just service the customer the way you can. And but in a normal situation, how's it been being in the hobby shop business? I know you got a lot of help too. And what's it like kind of servicing the racer, and then even if there's maybe new people come in, how's that business been to you over the years?
At the beginning, it takes a little bit to get used to, when you have to be on the retail side of it, for sure. It's good. I enjoy it. I enjoy the people. Gregory, he manages the shop now. Sarah started at the beginning when I took over the shop, and she did a great job. She was good with customers. Gregory's now in her spot, and dealing with the customers, it's good. We're a race shop for sure. We race. We don't sell a bunch of Armas. We don't sell X Maxes. We don't sell that stuff. We do sell Trackside Slashes, and we focus on that. We have a class for them, and it's a great stepping stone class for people to get into racing.
Do you see anything else besides the Slash that's a sort of a successful, maybe a starter vehicle or starter car that people ask for, or that you recommend?
I'm going to say, for me, no. We focus solely on the 2-wheel drive Slash, mainly just because it's a cheap route to get people into racing. People can come in and say they want to start racing. I feel guilty sometimes. You don't feel. I don't want to feel guilty telling somebody. I don't want to sell somebody $1,500 worth of stuff, and they may never race again, or they race twice.
Yeah.
We always question the people. We know what their intentions are or what they're going to do, and we always push them towards the Trackside Slash, the 2-wheel drive, just to get their feet wet. And it's a cheap price point. now you can walk out the door for $267 and you have a Slash and you can run and you can race it. So,
yeah, I mean, that sounds like a logical, definitely a logical thing to do.
There's tons and tons of vehicles out there. And if you can be, we can be really good at selling one and knowing everything about it, or you can have 100 different vehicles and be okay at many things. So that's just kind of the path we take. And it seems to be working out real well for us.
And, it's got to be easy or nice with the Traxxas Slash for several things, because the parts and it like you said, it's inexpensive. It's the same. It's never changing. That's got to be a big plus to that platform, I would imagine.
That's the biggest plus, with, how the hobby changes so much. Trackside Slash has been the same for 12 years. It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Associated will come up with something, or Low Shield or TLR will come up with something, and try to compete with those guys, and it never lasts. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
The TLR stuff, they'll come out with some really good stuff, and then often they'll kind of discontinue it, and then you have people that have something and you can't get parts for it anymore.
Yeah.
That's frustrating to people.
Yeah, it's something to be said for that longevity and that consistency with that product. It's almost like the industry standard entry level vehicle, which is
definitely the industry standard.
Which is scary when you're somebody else trying to have something and theirs is that successful, I guess.
But yeah, I mean, the Traxxas hooks on the wall have been in the same spot for the last 15 years.
You're like, front arms, boom, right there.
Yeah, same spot. They haven't moved.
Yeah,
totally years right there. Everything is.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, that's good. We're kind of looking. Gotti's kind of taking a look here for bumping around, checking out the questions, because we wanted to get to those too, because I know we have quite a few of them and a lot of your buddies, and then there's some good serious ones too.
Do you remember what you finished at the Trinity race at Megatrack?
I believe I was a DA main, and I think I finished 10th.
Oh, he's way too good for you, buddy.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, I'll look up the results. I think I still have the magazine, and nice. I'll confirm that.
That's fine.
And then I will look for your name also.
It's in the P main, first place.
Did they go all the way down to the P in the magazine?
I think in Competition Plus they used to.
Okay.
Yeah, Car Action's definitely not.
No. Yeah, they were like top 10, then they went to 5, then they went to 3. Pretty soon it was like, man.
Yeah. You had to go to Competition Plus if you wanted to get full results.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, I was just wondering. That was my question. All right. Corey Richardson, Jamie, he asks, how do you create the culture at Trackside? I feel like it's one of the most close-knit groups out there.
Yeah, I was reading that one too, and I was trying to figure out how to answer it, to be honest with you. The culture at Trackside has just always been there. And, I don't know if it's, probably starting from when Scotty was always very involved and very caring about everybody and just making sure everybody was having a good time. Mm-hmm. And it's just carried over since then. I read that question a couple of times and I didn't know how to answer it because it's just there. The culture's always been there at Trackside. It's not cliquey, it's just everybody hangs out and everybody's a good group.
Well, it also, I mean, I don't want to get stuck on one question, but the one thing I thought of too is, during this time, obviously Live RC did a really nice thing for everybody in all the tracks, by doing this, this shirt supports the track. Maybe you can go talk a little bit about that as well, Jamie, because I think this is kind of tied to that question a little bit, that the culture's good there, but you guys are getting a lot of support from what I understand, other racers supporting during this time, and that doesn't come from by accident. Like, obviously the relationships here are meaning a lot, and maybe talk about that a little bit, and a good thing that Brandon with Live RC was doing for the industry.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that Brandon did, we'll start with that for sure. I mean, that's something that Brandon didn't have to do. He didn't have to do any part of this. It took a lot of time. On our end, when we're looking at the computer, it doesn't look like it almost has somebody make shirts. But it takes a lot of time to write this stuff up and, come up with how you're going to do it and lobby the sponsors to, help support the community.
Mm-hmm.
So Live RC, Brandon, Corey, and all them guys, they stepped up.
Yeah.
And it helped a lot of tracks for sure. I mean, we got a lot of a lot of shirts sold, and it helped a ton. And then the other end of it too is, dispersing the money. Brandon had to go through and pretty much PayPal everybody that, got money individually.
Yeah.
So, Brandon has a great passion for the hobby for sure. And, he's ventured in different things with the motocross stuff, and he's got a vision for, what he's doing, but his heart's still in the RC community for sure. He did not expect what happened to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what it's at. How was the last time it was? Last time I looked, I think it was 127,000.
Yeah. I think it's creeping up to 150 now.
Okay. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And this is people.
Yeah. This is people, coming in and adding some things to it. And then on top of that, the manufacturers, obviously, like you mentioned, stepping up and doing a matching situation. And it's just been an amazing thing. And I guess what stood out to me relates to that question, which was the fact that you guys have such a good relationship with a lot of your racers, is they're showing that support back, which has just been really nice to see.
A lot of my racers, all our racers showed a ton of support back on the shirt thing. In racers' family members and friends, and everybody knows. Everybody wants to go to Trackside on Friday night if they're racing or not. They just want to hang out. But it is. I mean, it's amazing to me and how much support we got in that shirt sales. I mean, it blew me away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been really cool it's just been really cool to see.
For sure. And so our local racers still have been supporting us. I mean, I got people sending me entry fee every week.
Wow. That's great.
I mean, and I'm not talking just one person. I'm talking, many. And at some point, I almost feel guilty. And they're like, "No, don't feel guilty.
Yeah,
we want you to stay. We want Trackside where it's at."
Wow,
like,
that's awesome.
I appreciate that. And then send a PayPal and a little note or something like that. Or guys are making extra efforts. Time for a new car kit. We got a lot of support. So, and I'm very proud of that. That's the community we created over the years, and it makes you feel good.
Yeah, I would totally agree, and it's been amazing to see that. So, Gotti, what do we got next?
Can you talk about the difficulties tracks have when new cars are released, not knowing, having old stock, etc.?
Yep, I'm reading. This is Alejandro Vegas' question.
Yep. If money were no object, what would your ideal RC facility be like? Location, track, etc.
Oh, well, this is one of my pet peeves lately. It's been the release of cars coming so fast. I don't know how Jason feels about it, but
We've talked about this on the pod.
Out of it all, Jason?
Yeah. I'll let you go, and then I'll have a comment.
Okay, I'm sure. I guess, with the new cars coming out and so often, my biggest difficulty is, how much inventory we put on the shelves. How much inventory you stock, or new car comes out, what are the new parts you need, the hop ups, the different length bones, stuff like that. We're a little fortunate because we have a lot of, guys that are hardcore racers by us, so we know that, what you're going to need. But the path that it takes with the cars coming out every, a year and a half now, probably about.
Yeah.
Probably tougher for the smaller shops that are not as hardcore racers to, keep up on the inventory or keep up on what's changing. When they came out with the I don't know. It's a little frustrating on my end.
Well,
sure.
And what you can see is, and it's not just one. The problem is it's not just one company that you have to keep up with. This is all tied. They're all tied together. So, right. And they're all on different schedules. So it's like when, if Associated's doing theirs every 18 months or 2 years or whatever the case may be, then you got in between them, you got TLR changing theirs. And then in between that, you got X-Ray updating theirs. And then you got Yokomo, and you got all these different companies. They're all kind of pulling for the same racers. And then all their cars are, their release schedules are all staggered. So there's always something new that's coming, and then always eliminating something else.
Go ahead. The new car stuff is good. I for a racer that races every week and a new car comes out in 18 months or 18 months, he's due for a new car. That's mm-hmm. fine. He's okay with that. Yeah. But when I got a new racer that comes in and buys his brand new B6.1 and just starts racing, and a week later the B6.2 comes out, for example, oof. That's the hard part on our end, I feel.
It's hard to explain it. Right?
Yeah, it's hard to explain it. The changes with the new Associate car, not much. You can upgrade it. Awesome. Great. That was the best thing I heard. But, that's the toughest part. And I feel for the tracks that are just trying to be tracks and have parts and have cars, to try to keep up with what's going on in the industry, you have to be a racer. You have to know what is going on. Otherwise, you're just going to have walls full of dead inventory.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing I think I'd like to see is where the manufacturers start to work with the hobby stores a little bit more in, kind of keep them in the loop. But I see from their perspective that, they don't want you to stop buying their old inventory, or they don't want, they got inventory they want to get rid of. They're trying to keep sales going. They don't want to let you know that they're going to come out with a new car and not keep sales going, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I see both sides of it, but it's very frustrating sometimes when all of a sudden there's a new car and you know nothing about it. Sometimes you and the team guys, a couple times, for instance, there was a couple of cars that came out that the team guys didn't even know anything about it.
Yeah. So it's happening quick.
And the other thing that makes me nervous about all the car changing so quick, that's where on-road was, and that's what made on-road's decline, I feel, where everything is just changing.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually people started to get a little bit, frustrated. So that's the only thing that makes me nervous with all the change, everything changing so fast.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where, that's the only point I was going to add to it, was that was the position that on-road was and touring car was in, and still is today. And it's just kind of dwindled itself down to where it's only the most hardcore guys left. There's really nobody new getting into it.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, with the new cars, so taking out a new car, let's comes out a new car. a few years back, we'll call it 3 years, the price points of the cars, they were reasonable yet. That was the big savior on the off-road side of it. A new buggy was $299. Where an on-road car was $549. Mm-hmm. But now, the off-road side, it's starting to creep up too. Mm-hmm. What does a buggy cost now? $340. So it's starting to become a little bit more expensive on that side. The savior before was that the car prices were cheaper. That's how I feel, I guess.
No, you can see. Yeah, it's totally reasonable. So what ends up happening is, since the timeline on these cars is shorter, the price is going up so they can pay for themselves, and then the customer has to pay for those changes, quicker updates. But it's just touring car. That's how touring car went. Mm-hmm. The heyday of touring car was the TC3 days. The car was, was a lot of plastic parts. It was good, it was still quick and a competitive car, but that was probably the heyday.
Yeah, then, X-Ray started coming in, and they were kind of a big player on new technology, changing stuff all the time, different perspective, for sure. But then, just like anything, everybody starts chasing everybody. So.
Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, I think everyone's kind of on the same page there, and there's not an easy fix to it, unfortunately, other than some type of mandated timing of releases.
Yeah, if someone could agree on that, I think it would be good for racers and hobby stores. People will be able to prepare for, I'm going to buy a new car or stuff like that. But making that happen, I think, would be virtually impossible.
So we're going to dip back in there. Here's just one comment. Jim Tollard was just like, not a question, but thank you for everything you guys do for us. We appreciate all the work you guys put in, and he's ready to get back to racing. So that was kind of a good comment from Jim. We got Reed asking, let's get the oval crew together and get the oval done at Deuce and make 1/5 scale grade in Wisconsin.
Yeah, we got an oval track at our outdoor track, a big oval track. Got a group of guys that got the fifth scale oval cars. I don't know if you've ever seen them go around.
Oh man, it's got to be insane.
they got a good fun factor. They're big. That's for sure.
The one thing I was telling somebody is I got a chance to drive one at the Nitro Challenge one year, and it was the only RC car I've ever driven. When I crashed, I could feel it. Yeah, you feel the ground. You feel the ground and stuff, like, because the car's like flipping, and you can actually feel it crashing.
Jeez, can you imagine me driving one of those?
Ooh, a P main would not be safe.
Yeah, Richter scale would go off in California.
For sure.
Hey, now.
We got Gregory said you grew up racing at Trackside and have always been passionate. Is this where you anticipated your life going, or were there other plans you would pursue had this opportunity not arose?
I can't say that I've seen myself owning Trackside. I would always see myself racing. Just the opportunity came to take it over, and I took it.
He was also asking if you had any regrets.
No regrets yet.
Okay. Can't ask.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it wholeheartedly. I don't get to race as much as I used to. I raced for a long time, but now it's my time to make sure other people get to race and have a place to race at. And that's the way I look at it. I'll sacrifice that.
And then another addition here is is there anything you're doing in the future to improve on the facility or program that you already have? Is there, I guess, anything to look forward to there? I guess maybe that's something you already talked about. You're working on new tracks and layouts inside already right now.
Yeah, I mean, my goal, the building we're in now, we don't own. I guess my goal would be to, purchase a building at some point and then just kind of lay it out the way, a little bit more than what we have. So.
And then we got, he's also just stating, and then what makes it all worth it to you in the end?
I just enjoy it. I really do. I enjoy racing. Enjoy all the people. I don't even know how to add on to that. Actually, it's what I do. I've always done it. It's always been RC racing. No NASCAR racing. Don't watch NASCAR or anything. It's always RC. If I'm at home, I'm watching live RC.
To be honest, I'm a full RC racer too. Like, when people talk about tracks and motocross, supercross, I'm like, you know what? I said I'm an RC racer, and for me, I always see racing through the RC eyes. I don't watch RC racing through real car racing eyes. I watch racing through RC eyes, and because that's always what I've done, and that's what I've always thought of. So even if I happen to watch real racing or anything, I always compare it to RC. Like, I'm always like, well, I wish I could see it a little different because I want that RC perspective. And so anyway, it's just kind of funny having that.
We think alike.
Connection. Yeah, having that connection. We got Jake saying that he thinks your beard looks awesome, and the tracks. I haven't shaved since the start of the COVID-19 closing. And he misses the Trackside family, of course. And where do you see RC racing in 5 years? And if you could bring one thing back and have it be permanent, figure in racing. Basically, that means if you could bring back a track, a person, a kit, a motor, a battery, and so it's kind of multi-part.
That's kind of a tough question. I'm kind of stuck on it, to be honest with you. 5 years. I mean, the technology, how much farther can we go in the technology side of it? How much better can tires be? I don't know. I'm going to be honest, I can't answer that. I don't know what to see in 5 years. I mean, is that something you could answer, Jason? Would you be able to answer that?
No, probably not. I mean, I've taken a shot at it here and there, but we'll go on to these ones. If there's a one thing you could have back, as if it's a track, a person, a kit, motors, batteries, what one thing would you like to kind of reinstall, I guess?
For me, man, you could bring back the B4. That thing was around forever.
Yeah. That's probably a popular thing to say.
Permanent figure in racing for sure. For me, I think, Joel Johnson would be cool. That was, if I could bring him back into racing. He was always, my era of racing. He was always the one to look up to, and, like the icon of racing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Right?
That's Gotti's boy.
Yep.
So, that was a cool time when he was always, when you seen Joel Johnson, you're like, whoa. Back then, I mean, there was 2 fast people.
Yeah.
Now you walk into the Ruona and you're like, oh my God.
It was deep.
Any one of these guys could win.
The deep field.
It's very deep. So.
John Bolton made just kind of a comment that if you had ever heard of this, I'm kind of rearranging the question, but about maybe being able to partner with Traxxas a little more to push that spec / class. And I know we're way past when the Slash came out and when when it was just a crazy frenzy. But have you ever heard anything about partnering with Traxxas, or has there been any thing you ever thought about or heard about there?
For us, partnering with them, no. Is Traxxas a big supporter of Trackside? Absolutely.
Yeah.
We do twice a year, we do a 500 lap enduro at Trackside with Traxxas slashes only, stock spec.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And they step up. I put a pit lane in, free drivers. They got to change batteries. And I put a pit lane in, so they come in for a pit stop. And Traxxas has always been real supportive. They'll send door prizes, a couple car kits, and always help us out.
Great.
So, and like we touched base on before, we really push the 2-wheel drive slash just to get people into racing.
Yeah.
Because once they, start to run around the track or maybe race on a Tuesday or Friday night, and we tell them out of the gate, this 2-wheel slash it's going to be good. Mm-hmm. When you get to the next level, it's only going to be so competitive. But at that point, they're having fun, and then they make their purchase. They buy their 6.1 or, their low-C car. So, so as far as partnering with Traxxas, we kind of do. That's what we do on the beginner side of stuff. Indirectly, I guess.
Good to know. And I think that kind of answers that. And then Kyle Gannon just said that just want to tell you guys thanks. He loves racing there. We got Chris Trudeau. I was a big supporter even here of the podcast. He's asking to describe your model racer. What makes a good track ambassador and/or ideal track attendee?
My idea of a good track attendee. Someone who doesn't wait to register 5 minutes before racing.
No.
Someone who always corner marshals.
Yeah.
And this is probably my biggest. Someone who takes the time to set their car aside and help somebody else out.
Mm-hmm.
Or take a shock off their spare car so someone can race. Or, if they break in warm-ups, be the first one over the wall to help them.
Yeah.
That's my ideal, perfect racer.
Perfect things. He was also asking, have you ever had to ban anyone or politely ask them to leave?
By us, no. We did have one altercation, and it was a practice night, believe it or not.
Okay.
Couple guys were flapping their lips on the driver's stand, and the one guy flapped his lips for the wrong guy, and he had him in a headlock.
Oh, damn.
So we just said, hey, you guys need to take a break and, just go away for a while. And they went away, and eventually they came back, and everything was good.
Okay.
Not too much controversy by us, really.
We got Matt Wilbert. What's the most difficult thing and the best thing during this quarantine for a track?
The most difficult time for us right now is just not having racing and not being to see all the people that we see every week.
Yeah.
Being in the hobby sometimes it's not even about racing. People come to the track just to hang out and not even race. It's about the socialization, talking, hanging out. That's the toughest part for me, honestly. I'm kind of going crazy. It's usually you're used to 120 people in your life for 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And now it goes down to nothing. The second part of that question, I guess, is, we get to rethink some things. We're making some changes at the track. We get a little time to, honestly, I got time to do a couple of things that I wanted to get done, personally. That'd be the best thing of, coming out of this.
Mm-hmm. I thought this was a funny question. Lee Connolly Jr., if you eat some trail mix out of another racer's bag but leave a thank you note, do you consider that stealing?
I do not consider it stealing because I left a thank you note.
Perfect. Time is... Got... I don't know if Gotti, if you see we got Dave here that said Jam 10 and G10, they make me want to be a better man. I don't know what that means. I'm guessing that's
probably me and Gregory. That is one of was it Dave Chanel?
Yeah.
One of the Canadian guys. The guys from Canada would come down to the associated race for the last 2 or 3 years. They'd bring like 12 of them, and they would drive down every year, and they always had a really, really good time. Unfortunately, last year they lost their track up there, so when you lose a track, most of the guys kind of just sold their stuff and dispersed, and I think only one of the guys came down this last year. I don't even know if one of them came down. He was gonna, but I don't think he could make it. So just one of the racers that came and raced for the last couple of years at the associate race, and from Canada, and he's always like, "What do you want from Canada? You want some, what do they call nips? That's the full length. Usually nips are little cut off liquors."
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
right.
they have the full length ones in Canada called nips. You get them in one big long piece. And I always told him I either want nips or Shania Twain.
And you're like, I've had enough nips.
Like, yeah.
I don't know, Gotti, if you want to take this last one from Jerry while I'll look up and see what I got for my personal.
The Jerry one's a long one. I don't know if I'll even be able to answer that one.
Yeah, this is crazy. Stealing from the late, great James Lipton. What is your favorite word? I guess we'll take that.
Probably buddy.
Buddy?
Yeah. I'm always like, hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Okay. What is your least favorite word?
I don't know if I have a least favorite word. We're going to pass on that one.
What turns you on? Oh, boy.
Gotti Jr.
Huh? That'd be weird.
We'll keep it clean and, good day of racing.
There you go. Jason's laughing over here.
Fair enough.
What's that? Good enough. What turns you off?
Bad day of racing.
Yeah. What sound or noise do you love? Jeez. Sound of racers. Racing.
Probably a nitro racing. Nitro A scale. There's nothing better than nitro, big heated nitro A scale. Guys racing, coming in for fuel, elbowing each other in pit lane because they don't have enough room.
I agree, man. I'd love 8 scale nitro.
Yeah.
Could never race it, but I love watching it. A lot of strategy. What sound or noise do you hate?
Probably silence.
Me too. I have to always have a fan running at night when I'm sleeping. And a TV on. What about you, Jason?
Oh, man.
Do you have to have the TV on at night when you're sleeping?
No.
I do. I have to have it on.
I don't think Jason Ruona sleeps.
I definitely get my fair share of sleep, but I got a lot of things that would bother me, so that would take a long.
All right. Well,
that's a whole nother show.
What is your favorite curse word? God, you got it. How could you answer that? It's
definitely the F-bomb.
All right.
There you go.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
What profession other than I do now?
Yep.
I think I would have liked to be a police officer.
Okay.
I always found that a little intriguing.
Yeah, I did too. When I was a kid, I was, I wanted to be a cop, acted like I was a cop when I was a little kid. I used to stand outside by the road there, and the cars would go by, and I have a sign that would say, slow down. Is that goofy?
I don't know if it's like because I'm nosy and I want to be in other people's business.
That too.
The turn off about being a police officer is blood. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Or smells.
What do you think? What do you think of that, Jason? I used to try to get people to slow down by my road there. I probably had a little badge and everything.
I mean,
is that pretty weird or what?
I didn't pick you up for impersonating a police officer.
That was a weird kid.
Come with me, kid. Come with me, kid.
Yeah. What profession would you not like to do?
Probably like a mortician or anybody that has to deal with death or smell.
Oh, hell yeah. That'd be crazy.
The smell thing that's what turned me off about the police stuff is just, it would probably be nice to be a police officer and help people out. But the bad stuff that you get to see, I don't have the stomach for it.
Yeah. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Your race is up.
Very bold. Very bold of him to assume that you're going to heaven.
Yeah, that's the first thing, is going to heaven. I'm probably glad you can make it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
I was worried about you. Glad you can make it.
Yeah. It's like, you were on the fence, but we went ahead.
Wasn't looking good. Hey, we had a question. We had a question earlier for Jason, Jamie. Let me see if I have that. It was concerning the drivers from back in the 80s and 90s. Do you think they could make the transition from 80s, 90s to today's off-road type racing?
No. You older drivers, you're saying like guys older, like Jason and me, or
yeah.
What I envision.
Are we talking age, or are we talking the skill level from the 80s, 90s to now?
Well, here's what he sent into the show. The discussion on the wait a minute here. Hold on. This is it. Yeah, the discussion on the internet is whether the 80s and 90s drivers can race today. Many think they would not be able to handle today's competition and the size of today's tracks. So guys,
if they had to come from the 80s, like hop in a transport bubble and come to 2020.
Yeah.
No way. No. I mean, you've seen some of the old World videos. The jumps are like, if you had jumps like that now, people would be like, "Are you kidding?"
Yeah.
Where's the jumps?
Yeah. I mean, the talent of the off-road guys have all these young guys. You watch them, it's like you can't believe what they can do. Everybody, puts their work in. Everything now is a lot more serious. People are, obviously getting paid to do it, and they got to perform and practicing weekly. 3 times, 4 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot different culture than what we had in the 80s and 90s.
So, kind of going into the future here, when are you looking forward to, kind of getting back to racing, and when do you think things will, kind of start to smooth out a little and maybe kind of get back to maybe some normalcy? And what do you see yourself doing then? And then any races you're looking forward to attending besides your own?
I mean, honestly, I think, the summer is going to be end of summer before normalcy, I think,
Yeah.
Even if they open the tracks back up, I think, some people are going to be a little hesitant to come back. I mean, I got a lot of people that are itching to come back, but I believe in Wisconsin that they're going to slowly, let us do it. And by that time, it's going to be, August. And then right around the August time is when we start looking forward, getting the associated race stuff ready, because that comes up quick. So I guess, we're going to look forward to fall and, do what we can in the fall.
It's a huge, that's a huge swing, right? I mean, you think about it's almost like we're in a time warp, right? Because it's like, if you're already talking about the fall to kind of getting back to normal, we're missing a solid chunk of this year, aren't we?
There's a lot of races that are getting, it is.
Yeah,
for sure. In Wisconsin, and it's different wherever else you go, summertime indoor RC tracks, as soon as the end of April, we do our last race, it's crickets.
Right.
It's just people in Wisconsin want to go outside for the 3 months of the year that they can.
Yeah.
But now with all this stuff going on, I don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You almost just got to work through it. People want to come and race. I know that. And maybe once we start to race again here in the next month, maybe it'll be a better summer than we've had in the previous years. So our focus right now is probably, we're redoing the indoor track, like we said, but we're also put the new layout on the outdoor track for 8-scale stuff. And we're probably going to lean more that way because I think we're going to have more leniency with the racing out there because we can spread out more. We can have more people in a bigger area, and it's outside.
I don't, maybe if I didn't realize it or something, but where exactly is the outdoor track located?
Our outdoor track is it's about 15 minutes north of where we're at.
Okay.
It's on a separate piece of property that I lease out.
Okay, I was just making sure I didn't miss it. I'm like, when I was there, I'm like
downtown Brookfield.
I'm like making sure.
Yeah, it's like a 6-acre piece of property. We have the off-road track on it, and then we have the oval track, and we do a couple camp outs during the summer and stuff, and it's fun.
Good news.
So, we did the outdoor track. This is our 4th year. It was pretty much just something to supplement, our summer income a little bit, because summer, like I said, indoor, it's like a lot slower. So we did the outdoor track, and that, brought a lot of attention. Usually weekly we'll get, 60, 70 guys, and that's good on a Saturday. So, plus I think the people, what's nice is I think it keeps interest in racing, because if you race 10-scale buggy 12 months of the year, you probably get burnt out a little bit. It gives these guys a little bit more excitement to do something different or try, change the pace.
Yeah, I like when they say, like, oh, it's time for nitro season, or, I like when I hear people talking about that, and they get excited. Like you said, they transition from one to the other.
Is it like that in Florida, or do 8-scale racers race 8-scale and 10-scale racers race 10-scale?
It's pretty much split. Yeah, that was what was always weird for me being here, is there is no season. It's the same thing all year round. Mm-hmm. So, 10-scale guys pretty much do 10-scale, and 8-scale do 8-scale. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, here it's different than that. It's 10-scale guys buy their 8-scales and race, outside if they can in the summer. So.
Yeah, it's neat. I like
which
that.
Is good. It's good for us. It's good for, it keeps interest in the hobby for sure. It keeps everything from going stale.
Yeah, totally. Well, you want to kind of give a shout out to your, maybe your supporters, family, and racers,
sure.
family, and then we'll kind of ease our way out.
Obviously, I want to thank everybody at the track. Gregory takes care of all the ordering and all that stuff, and the Wright family. They help us out there. All the guys that help me out. Brian Yeager. There's so many people. We couldn't do what we do without all these people that help us.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us successful. If everybody steps up and helps us.
And then, in terms of anybody else you would like to thank, or just in terms of maybe, I don't know if you have any racing sponsors or any connections, or just anybody else in the business that helps you out, and we'll kind of wrap it up.
Obviously, J Concepts, you guys always take care of us when we need to move our big events. Allison is great. Brandon Rhodey at Live RC and Corey for doing the shirt thing. That was huge for everybody. Mm-hmm. Like I said before, they didn't have to do that. But they did. So hopefully when the time comes when we're back racing, then, people remember that and maybe, sign up and do the membership and help them back out. They don't have nothing going on right now either. So hopefully it does a full circle.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So.
Okay.
But that's about it for right now.
Good to know. And I don't know, is there anything there, Gotti, that you wanted to comment on?
No, we'll just we'll say hello to Kirby Hand for you.
No, I appreciate that. And then I will look up the results from Megatrack.
I was just going to say, and go ahead and try and find those results. P Main first place. I'm sure that first place that I got in the P Main was probably a pretty damn good run that would have probably qualified me in the A or B or something like that.
You must add an A main run in there somewhere.
Absolutely, right there it was P main first place. So go look up that, and
I guess the other thing I'd like to, if I can, I want to thank all the guys and everybody that supports us at the shop too. Like we talked about earlier, everybody stepped up during the times, and I mean, all the racers stepped up. So I'd like to thank everybody that supports us at the track for sure.
Oh,
that's huge. We wouldn't be where we're at with all our racers. So.
Yeah, it is really cool to see everybody step up like this and help everybody out. So, you don't realize it until something like this happens, how much people care and, are willing to help. So, pretty cool.
For sure.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, Jamie, and good luck. And it's definitely nice to see a nice, successful track such as you have. And we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. I appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, Jamie, take care. Appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you soon, guys. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Great interview there. One of Kirby Hand's friends, Jamie Tennies. I thought those two raced against each other, but I guess for Jamie's sake, he's lucky he didn't race against Kirby Hand. All right, Jason, what do you got?
Yeah, we were talking about earlier, just something I was kind of going to do here is when I can, trying to put together any of the information I can, but just want to do a YouTube video where I kind of talk about my experience from the 95 Worlds.
Oh, okay.
So that was the first Worlds I attended as a driver. So I was going to kind of do a little story time. We'll tell a little story about, my racing experience there. And so that'll probably be one of our next, if not our next video will be that. So
I like it.
I just, that's kind of why I'm, going back and watching some of these old DVDs and videos just to kind of make sure I kind of have some things together that maybe I already thought I knew, or just a refresher.
Mm-hmm. That'd be cool.
Yeah, trying to get, there's some things that I've been writing a few things down and just making some notes. And so when I kind of get to that, I can kind of set the stage a little, kind of what position the industry was in and kind of where we were going at that time, and talk about that race a little bit and kind of my full experience of doing it. And so that's kind of, we're working on that.
Cool.
Just finished, we've been busy and, just trying to participate in these different genres of racing and having the different items available ready, and then also talking about doing some of these YouTube videos that I've wanted to do and getting them out there.
Yeah. Now you have some time and get this stuff done.
I mean, trying to use some of this extra time we have wisely.
Yeah, I like what everybody's doing now, like the Facebook Live videos and all the drivers doing them. It's pretty cool. All right, Jason, don't forget this weekend is Mother's Day.
Yeah, good point.
So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Mm-hmm.
Guess you can't really do much. You can't go out to restaurants or anything. Well, I guess in Florida you can, you were saying, but not up here.
Yeah.
And you got a race. You got the Super Cup this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And what else you got going on? Anything else in there?
That's it at the moment.
Yeah.
Just trying to get into the office myself and Allison and getting some stuff done and doing as much of that as we can.
Well, it has given you a little bit more time to work on all those projects.
Oh, yeah. It's been a great opportunity, not doing some of these large events, to just kind of consistently week after week being able to kind of knock off things on the list that I wanted to do. And, so yeah, it's been good.
All right. And that was episode 210. And we thank Jamie for being on show from Trackside Hobbies. And appreciate you guys tuning in and sending us messages and questions. Good stuff, man. And
I bumped into some prizes today that I had to send out, so we got those out.
Yeah, let's catch up on those before we send any more out, which we are now, right? I think so.
Yeah, we're getting pretty caught up. There's a couple more I had questions about.
I'm still waiting on. So if you're a patron of the show over at patreon.com/Radio Impound, check your messages in there. You could download the app on your phone. That's really easy. Then it'll pop up and let you know when you have messages. And that's what I do. I contact you guys through there. It uses your email that you signed up with or whatever. And like I said, if you download the app, it's a lot easier. Put the Patreon app on your phone. It'll give you a notification when you get a message from me. You're able to go in there, read it, see that you want a prize, send me your address in there, and we get the stuff out to you. So, but you got to check there. Or listen to the show and you hear your name. We get people that say, hey, I heard my name on the show. Cool. And we send them out a prize. So.
Yeah, I mean, we still got this Mayfield Truggy body we gave away with a wing and something else. That
I'm going to look up that name for you. And then
somebody hasn't quite claimed or got that one finished yet. There's a couple other little things, but, we've sent out a ton of stuff.
Yeah. And we appreciate that. All the people that support the show. And then Jason, you giving us the prizes. Awesome stuff, man. Appreciate it.
No problem.
And I want to thank, Jason, people. You know what people do? Some of our fans, they go over to carpies.com and they order the official Radio Impound podcast apparel from there. You can order a hat, you can order t-shirts, anything, decals, anything you could think of. You want the Radio Impound logo on there, go over to carpies.com. He could do it for you. And we're going to get Derek on the show. Derek wants to be on the show, and we're getting Kirby on at the same time, though, because those guys are oval guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Good. So, carpies.com, and we had a listener, Kyle Donaldson, sent me a photo. He loves the shirt, loves the podcast. He thanked us for everything that we do. He appreciates the podcast, sends a picture of him wearing the shirt, and he has his name on the back of the shirt. It's a nice shirt. Awesome shirt. Carpies.com if you want to get some rip gear, decals, whatever. There you go. So thank you.
Good.
All right. Episode 210 in the books. We'll catch you on the next one. And hope everybody stays safe out there. And again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Yes, you put it succinctly.
Suck what?
Succinctly, it means perfectly.
Oh, yeah. May I do that?